Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, we're talking Spare Us. I sound a little crazy. I'm very aware of it. It's springtime in Florida. Everything's blooming, so my allergies are out of control. But no worries, because I have Prince Harry here with me to do some of the heavy lifting. Definitely not mentally.
My nose oscillates between running and not.
So thanks so much for being here. This part we're going to kind of fly through. There's a bunch of chapters, and then he meets Maggie Poo, and then we're going to slow on down and make fun of that part. But we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm excited. We'll have Harry do some reading for us. Now, I've had a million people message me and say, hey, Jen, have you heard about this book, Our King? Oh, yes, I have. It sounds juicy, and we will be diving into that next. We will be finishing this book very soon. It says I'm like 75% through the book now, so I should be finishing it up very soon, and we will dive into Our King. So I'm very excited to talk about that, and I'm just so glad you're here. See, it's my sinus medicine. I'm so glad you're here, and I do want to say this is Pouty Prince edition. So Harry, why don't you tell us what's happening in this photo, Harry?
Oh yes, I remember that day. Again, Prince Willie got the bigger breakfast sausage. But it should have been I. I was the one craving the big, moist, glimmering, oily slab of meat to go down my gullet. I was denied.
My God, anybody else feel nauseous after that? I do. All right, so we pick up in chapter 32. Harry, now remember last time I was laughing my A off because Harry's very important job, like I always say, he's Buster because he's got an important job with Army. And his very important job was manning the Tetris machine. So they went ahead and graduated him from the Tetris machine to the radio. And you can imagine how well this goes. So we go into chapter 33. His code name on the radio was Hedgehog 7. Harry, tell us about being Hedgehog on the radio.
It was enjoyable talking to this young female, but then suddenly I had visions of what her life would be like if anyone got wind of this and discovered both of our identities. She could be hounded by the press, possibly losing her job and her sanity, driven into hiding. It was an appalling prospect. Listen, I think we should keep this professional, I stuttered, Hugh Grant-like, into the microphone.
Pardon, Hedgehog 7?
She said back. Hedgehog 7 was my radio call signal. When I'd first heard it, I knew it was another message from the universe. That damn universe, with its perverse sense of humor. It was the hedgehog I had seen that night when I was at Eden, calling to me again, wrinkling its enigmatic nose and shuffling its spiky little bottom, telling me that all would be well. I just think we shouldn't let things move too fast, I stammered. I think you're a great girl and all that. But please, don't misunderstand me.
Please repeat, Hedgehog 7,
she said.
I'm not receiving you. I just need directions on where to land and deliver these crates of lavatory disinfectant.
Atta girl. Pretend if there was nothing between us. Move on with your life. That's the way to play it. I punched the air. We never spoke after that, but I always felt there had really been a spark between us.
Oh, thank you, Harry, for that riveting tale. So again, I just wanted to highlight that because the author so perfectly nails Harry's obliviousness and total misreading every situation he's thrown into. So let's see here. From here, we go into chapter 34, where he has a press events. He refers to it. He refers back and calls it war. Basically, it's just a press event because he hates the media so much. Chapter 35 and 36 find Harry back in Britain, but 37 is the one that I've been excited about. Harry, why don't you tell us about the fancy themed dress party that you were invited to?
It was a themed fancy dress party, and my presence was mandatory. The theme was tribes and colonizers. I didn't have a costume, but at the last minute discovered a higher place near the party venue. I went very reluctantly and practically without thinking about it. Almost at random, and with my eyes averted, plucked the first outfit that came to hand, and ended up being with a 1940s Germany uniform. Willie and Kate were there, and it was probably their idea, to be honest. I really quite can't. God damn it.
That's okay.
I really can't quite recall. In fact, yes, I can recall, and it definitely was their idea. When the story came out that I had attended a party dressed as a German soldier, it provoked a worldwide scandal. Harry the Racist, Harry the Thicko, were the headlines. I couldn't believe I had been so stupid. What had I been thinking? I vowed, never ever, to bring the family into disrepute again.
I was laughing. You could probably hear me in the background all the way through. Thank you so much, Harry, aka Jay, for that reading. When he messed up and said GD, I thought he sounded so much like Captain Lee. Jay, can you do your Captain Lee impersonation?
I'm gonna drive a yacht, goddammit.
Through a hedge with my dick.
It's like a bunch of weak-kneed, pants around their ankles, dick dragging, cave knuckle, goddamn.
So if you have no idea what we're talking about, or we've totally lost you, that is from Below Deck, a reality show, and it's Captain Lee. He talks exactly like that. Sorry, I digress. So I think this author gave Harry too much credit. Obviously, he's making fun of Harry, but Harry, in his book, as you recall, nothing is his fault. So he tries to blame William and Catherine for the whole word I can't say on YouTube, German costume. Do you want to say? Yeah.
Actually, I can
Okay.
provide some edification.
That's a big word for you.
Yes, it was written down. So this book is obviously a parody. The true story is they actually held me down and stripped my clothes off and then strapped on the uniform and said, Harry, you must wear this. And I said, no. And they said, yes. And they gave me a wet willy and made me go to the party. And it's all their fault.
And that's perfection, because you lead us into the next chapter. Speaking of stripping your clothes off, Harry, why don't you tell us in chapter 38 what happened in Vegas?
My mates had somehow talked me into going to Vegas. I didn't fancy it at all. Spending all that time in giant, ludicrously expensive and gaudy palaces filled with inane chatter and wasted money? No thanks. It just wasn't me. But nonetheless, I caved in at last. One night, we found ourselves playing pool with a band of attractive female croupiers. I suggested that we make the game interesting and play strip pool. Within minutes, I was utterly nude. It was all just a bit of fun, and there was lots of guffawing and backslapping, as well as nadger clutching. Next day, the pictures were all over the world. It was a giant scandal. Harry the nudist, Harry the thicko, a right royal idiot, said the headlines. I couldn't have been so stupid. I couldn't believe I had been so stupid. What had I been thinking? I vowed never ever to bring the family into disrepute ever again. After all, if one could not count on honor among scantily clad Las Vegas croupiers, what had happened to the world?
So I love that he vows not to bring any more shame on his family, and then, well, flash forward, he can't seem to keep that promise. But chapter 39, he returns to army, cheeks burning with shame. Chapter 40, he's in Botswana tracking animals. Then we get into chapter 41, where he is in Tennessee. Harry, tell us a little bit about your time in Tennessee.
On our lad's holiday through America, we stopped in Tennessee to visit the house of the king. I thought America didn't do kings, I joshed. Everyone laughed and thought I was brilliant. Seriously, though, this king lived in Memphis, named after the ancient Egyptian capital. So perhaps he should have been called the Pharaoh of Rock. That made me think of sand again. Sand, endless sand, pouring one grain over the other. The meaninglessness of it, the impersonal wonder of the echoing space in the desert. Then a friend poked me in the ribs and told me to quit staring at corkboard on the wall. I said, snapping out of it. I was thinking, shouldn't they have made him the president of rock and roll? Or better still, if they're interested in having the king, it's well known I'm going spare.
Wow, deep thoughts by Harry there. Then we go into chapter 42, the universe he believed was gaslighting him. And then we go into chapter 43, one of my favorites. Harry, can you tell us what happened in the North Pole? What happened to your South Pole and the North Pole?
I had been on a trek to the North Pole to raise money for charity. However, a few days after I got home, I discovered something was badly wrong. Wrong, that is, with my South Pole. I had frostnip on my royal Taj. How embarrassing. And worse, how to find a physician to treat it. I didn't even know how to phrase the question, but something had to give. It was agonizing. After some carefully phrased inquiries, at last I found myself being ushered in through the back entrance of a Harley Street practice. The doctor didn't look up from his desk as I came in, but told me to disrobe. I did so, and there was an uncomfortably long pause while he finished the notes he was working on. He came behind the curtain and saw me for the first time. "What an oversensitive dick," he said. I was grateful to be in the hands of someone who could make such a rapid diagnosis.
I have to give you a round of applause for that Harry impersonation. That's brilliant. But I love it. In case it was lost in translation, he whips his Todger out. The doctor doesn't even really look at it, just calls him an oversensitive dick. And Harry thinks he's talking about his frostbitten Todger. I love it. Perfection. Okay, so then we go into chapter 44, where it's William's wedding. So can you tell us a little bit about what was going on with your Todger at that point?
Ah, yes. My penis was oscillating between cold and more cold, but equally painful. For some reason, Willie and the family had balked at the idea of allowing me to perform a best man speech. They were afraid that if given an opportunity to embarrass the family, I would have made lots of very shameful remarks that would have put them all in humiliating light. I could not understand why. Anyway, at this time, my penis, which is circumcised, by the way, was still in a lot of pain.
Oh, goodness, Harry. So I love it. The author is straight up calling out that Harry would do anything to embarrass his family, including writing the book Spare. I think that's great. He doesn't go into the mom's face cream. I feel like that was a missed opportunity. And then we go into chapter 45. Harry goes to the South Pole. Chapter 46, we get into Meghan. So let's hear a little bit about how Harry and Meghan met and how it went.
I had come across this utterly wonderful woman on a friend's Instagram post. We had been given each other's numbers, and had been texting each other like crazy. Now it was time to meet. But where? Of course, going to a regular restaurant was out of the question.
"Join me at Soho House, 76 Dean Street," she said.
"Okay," I replied.
"It's great here. They love me."
We agreed to meet in a private dining room. I thought this girl was dynamite. I couldn't wait. But before I could reach our rendezvous at Soho House, I had to get through the traffic. It was at a standstill. Like my heart. It was impossible for me to hop out and run along the street. That would be making a spectacle of myself, and I couldn't imagine ever doing that. I texted her, running late, so sorry. We met eyes and smiled. I had sprinted up the stairs. I was breathing hard.
"I love breathing," she said. "We have so much in common."
It turned out we had the same favorite food, chicken. When we found this out, we stared at each other, open-mouthed. This was meant to be. Needless to say, the first date went brilliantly. Chapter 47. She was even more ravishing in person than she had seen from her pictures. I couldn't believe my eyes. What was best about her was that she couldn't care twopence that I was a royal. It was perfect. "I hear that you are on the hit U.S. TV drama Suits," I said.
"It's a seemingly never-ending soap opera about tiresome, privileged people bitching and manipulating and betraying each other for power," she replied.
"Let's not talk about my family," I said. "Tell me about Suits." Chapter 48. We knew we had to meet up again, and as soon as possible. But how was I, a fully employed member of the royal family, going to be able to find a hole in my schedule that matched that of an actor in a major American TV series? We opened our diaries and compared dates.
"This summer is particularly difficult,"
She said.
because I'm going traveling, doing the whole eat, pray, love thing.
Eat, pray, love? What now? I stared at her. She explained it was a 3-leg holiday with her girl chums, taking in Italy, Spain, and India. That's amazing, I said. I've got a 3-leg lads holiday booked. We're calling it the Drink Snort Vom Tour. Her eyes sparkled. We were made for each other.
Wow. So the Drink Snort Vom Tour. All right. So then we're going to do chapter 49 and we're going to end up on 50 where Meghan and Harry were going on more dates. And then they go into Meghan and Harry popping around to see Aunt Fergie. So he was looking forward to introducing Meghan to Fergie, and an unexpected car pulled in the driveway. Harry, why don't you tell us what happened?
Chapter 50. Granny was visiting. Despite knowing how to curtsy on suits, somehow Meghan didn't know how to in real life, even though everybody on the planet has heard of curtsy. Meghan had to be told how to address the Queen in 10 seconds flat. She performed a curtsy with aplomb after being shown how and rehearsed the correct form of address. You shall call her Your Majesty the first time, and afterwards, ma'am, to rhyme with spam. She repeated it perfectly, and a few minutes later, when introduced to Granny, did so again. All had gone off without a hitch, and in fact, Granny seemed instantly to warm to my beloved. We had been horrified that Meghan would try to high-five the monarch, or grab her in a bear hug, give her a chest bump, or flip the Madge over her shoulder in a friendly fireman's lift. All spirited hijinks we were sure common among Americans.
So yeah, not much more of this book to get through. I think so we'll pick up on chapter 51, which puts us 80% through the book. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to give a huge thank you to Jay, the burger to my king. The king to my burger, for being here and doing Prince Harry voice. Jay, tell everybody where they can find you and what you are up to that you can say on the show.
Well, you can find me on YouTube and Twitch as Dr. Bad Vibes, and I would appreciate it if you'd swing by, give me a like and a subscribe if possible, and leave a comment about how you want me to narrate your next audiobook, or voice over your celebrity-endorsed grill in a commercial, or your used car dealership. I can do it.
Or face cream advertisements.
Yes. It makes you oscillate.
Did you tell them where to find you?
Yes.
Yeah. Dr. Red Vibes. Okay. All right. So, guys, thank you so much for being here and supporting. We really appreciate it. If you want to further support the show, I do encourage you to check out my Patreon. I do a lot of extra content over there, deep dives, lots of fun stuff. I even cover episodes of Sex and the City if that's your jam, but a lot of Harry and Meghan stuff. So check that out. It's patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. That's where you can become an executive producer. I'd like to thank my executive producers so much for all the support. So I'm going to read your names, and if you want to become one, check it out on patreon.com. All right, a huge thank you to Linda. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you to Mary. Thank you to Amy. Thank you, Mr. K. Thank you, Kay. Thank you to Shauna and to Brenda. Thank you, Aaron and Frank. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Ann M. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Ann H. Thank you, Karen. Thank you to Corey. Thank you to Glennis. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Dewey. Thank you to Patty. Thank you to Adair Becker. Thank you to Erica. Thank you, Amber. Thank you to Annette, to Barb G. Thank you, Diana LOL. Thank you, Allison B. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you, KT. Thank you, Jolene. Thank you, Stromboli. Thank you to Catherine. Thank you to Loie. Thank you to Lucy H. Thank you to Georgia. Thank you, Susie. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Robbins Landing. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Mara. Thank you, Ashley C. Thank you, Molly. Thank you to Amber. Thank you to Ashley. Thank you to Amanda. Thank you to Michelle. Thank you, Sansquid. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you to Dee Dee. Thank you to Nina. Thank you to Heather. Thank you to Tracy. Thank you, Penny. And thank you, Dombey. So if you would like your name shouted out and as an executive producer, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Real Housewives Recaps. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Can't wait to bring you the next part of Spare Us. Take care. Bye-bye.